So today I want to show you how to use the table layout in Android Studio. I like the table layout because as the tables do, it kind of neatly organizes everything for me. I am not the most artistic person in the world, so it's sometimes a good option for me, and hopefully it'll be a good option for you. So we're just going to go in and create an empty activity. Click Next, and we will simply call this table layout. Okay. Um, Checking the save location, language, API, everything looks good there. We'll go ahead and click finish. And this will take a little time to go ahead and build the project and set everything up. I'll fast forward though, so you don't have to sit through all this. Okay, so we have our project created now. We're in pretty good shape here. We have kind of the standard layout and main activity that gets created. What we need to do is we need to go into Res Layout, and we're going to create a new layout. A new layout resource file, and we'll just give it table underscore layout. If I could type underscore, that would be better. Now we need to replace this linear layout with a table layout. Okay, we'll do like so. We'll accept that. Everything looks good. We click OK. Okay, do I want to add this again? Okay, that's fine. So now we have our table layout. We'll clean this up. We no longer need activity main. And we're going to go into our main activity. And instead of activity main, we are going to go in and say table layout. So that's where we're setting our content to table layout when our app builds. Okay. Now, so we have our table layout. Let's kind of give ourselves a little more screen real estate here to play with. You could see in the component tree that we have table layout. So what we want to do here is, what does a table need? Well, a table needs rows, and that's going to be under your in the palette under layouts, and you could see the table row here. So this is going to be one of the more basic tables you'll ever see, but that the point here is just to show you how to set this up. So we'll add one, two. Now notice here, you can see the little highlighted, the little blue line there. You can make a child row of a table row. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that it's a little bit to the left, so it's actually its own row. And we'll do three of these, okay? So now we have a table with three rows. You notice you don't see anything in the user interface here, right? It's like, well, where is it? Well, there's no content yet. We're going to add some content to the rows, and that's going to start to fill out the table. Um, and since there are no real kind of rows, you can normally with these widgets, you can kind of you can drag them right onto the screen. You probably can do that here, but it's just easier to work through the component tree down here. So we'll go to text view, and I'll add a text view. I'm going to add three text views per row. One, two, there. Okay, and one there. Yeah, kind of bear with me here. It's a little tedious. And this can be done in code as well. I mean, if you look at the code that's getting generated for each row and text view, I mean, if you're gonna be doing a lot of this stuff, you might want to start thinking about copy and paste. Copy and paste. You just got to make sure that you're cognizant of like the different IDs and any kind of data that gets created for you automatically that you may need to change. Okay. Okay. Text view there. Text view there. Okay. So what do we have? We have three rows and we have a text view, three per row. So one thing, actually a couple things I want to point out here. First are these little warning icons, okay? If you hover over this, it says hard coding string text view, should use string resource. And this is a best practice, of course. For this exercise, we're not going to use resource files for strings. We will stick with the hard-coded values. So let's clean up this table. You see in the UI here just some extra cells on the table. We want to get rid of that. We'll go ahead and select table layout. Okay, and then we'll do a search for layout height, okay, and it's match parent. And we're going to go to wrap content. The more important one here is the layout width, which is match parent. We're going to say wrap content. Okay, so that kind of cleans that up a little bit. Um, the other thing that we want to do with this is we want to make it look like a little bit more like a standard table. So we're going to give each text view some padding. Now notice here, you can go ahead and select, I'm using a combination of Control and Shift to select all of these text views. And I'm going to go in here into I'm going to some searching attributes here, and I'm going to say padding. Okay, little drop down arrow, padding. You can select, top, right, left, bottom. We're going to do for all, and we're going to say 10 SP. Okay, all right, 10 pixels. Okay, so it's already kind of starting to look a little better, right? Next thing we're going to do is for the top row and the first column, we are going to give the text color a color of black. So let's go in, and this search feature is really handy, by the way. I mean, you can go ahead and kind of scroll through and find what you're looking for, but I find if you get kind of comfortable with the search feature, it's pretty handy. So I'm just going to search for black, and you see black comes up there, and I'll just select that color. Okay, and you can see now that my first row and my first column has a text. All the text is black. So again, it's starting to come together and looking like a real table. Okay, so one last thing we want to do, or sort of get into one of the last things we want to do, is normally in a table you don't have any information here at 0, 0. I mean, these tables are all zero based. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually right click on this first text view in the first row, and we're just going to say delete. And you're going to say, well, what did that do, right? It just shifted the other two text views over one. So we'll go back in and we'll say, and this time we are going to go in and search for the layout column. That's what it is. I kind of struggle with that a little bit. Layout column. Okay. And we're going to say for this cell, we're going to make it 1. Again, I said this is 0 based. So we're going to make that 1. And we're going to go through each of these and give this one and give them a column number. This is going to be 2. Okay. And again, we'll do a multi-select here. So these two cells here, they're both going to be 0. Again, tables being 0 based. These two here are going to be 1. Okay. And then finally these two here, and that's going to be 2. Okay. Okay. So that's our table. It looks pretty good, right? We can go ahead and if we wanna add some text in here, we can do that. You can basically go in. I mean, you could use resource files. Again, we're not using resource files, but you could give, let's say, here we would say, header 1, and then down here we can go in and say header 2. This could be anything. I mean, pick anything that tickles your fancy. And we'll go back, we'll save that, and then we'll go back to our designer, and you can see header 1. I got like a little equal sign in there. But you get the point, right? I mean, basically, you can add values that you want to see in the table. Now, this is just kind of a table layout 101. I mean, ultimately, you may want to pull this information from a database. On the phone or a remote database. I mean, that's up to you. The last thing we'll do is we will push this to a phone so you can see it on a real screen. So I'm going to fast forward to that and show you what that looks like. Okay, now I have the app running on my phone actually, but you can see it in Visor on the screen, hopefully. And I have here just a very contrived example. I've added some, a little more information, something a little more pertinent than header 1, header 2. But here's the table displayed on the phone. So I mean, as you can see, pretty quickly you can come up with something that's pretty cool. So I hope you've enjoyed the video and go out there and create some tables. Thanks a lot.